Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest on everything cool every single day, thanks in a large part to our pals at the VFS School of Game Design. Thank you so much, Vancouver Film School. Now, today's rundown is dedicated to our pal, Master of Karate and Friendship. Gotta love that screen name. Loves everything we do and loves seeing new things in his subscription box, which is great. This rundown is dedicated to you. When it comes to gaming innovation, it looks like Sony doesn't want to be asleep at the Switch. The company is rumored to be working on a new handheld PlayStation device similar to rival Nintendo's console handheld hybrid, the Switch. The rumors come from several different Chinese game websites, as translated by NeoGAF, that claims Sony's China subsidiary has already begun manufacturing a new handheld system, which could be unveiled as early as E3 in 2 weeks. The new machine, if it's real, would apparently take a page from the Nintendo Switch and be able to run full PS4 games on its own and not simply stream them from a stationary console like the Remote Play feature on the existing PlayStation Vita. This could help make the new handheld much more popular than the Vita, which, despite its loyal cult following, never really caught on and has basically been abandoned by Sony. The Vita and its predecessor, the PSP, were great machines, so we hope Sony revisits the handheld space at some point in the future. Still, it's important to remember that none of these rumors have been confirmed, and the sources are pretty unreliable to say the least, so don't be surprised if it all turns out to be wrong. On the other hand, it's not that far-fetched that Sony or Microsoft would want to follow Nintendo's lead and cash in on the success of the Switch. They copied Nintendo after the phenomenal success of the original Wii, releasing their own motion-sensing devices like the PlayStation Move and Kinect a few years later. We'll let you know what Sony announces when E3 kicks off on June 13th. And hopefully nobody tries to copy what Nintendo is doing with game audio. Accessory maker Hori has unveiled a new headset for the Switch that will ship alongside the new game Splatoon 2, but the way it hooks up to the system is cumbersome, to say the least. The headset doesn't connect directly to the Switch. Instead, it goes through a splitter that simultaneously connects to the Switch and your mobile phone, which it needs to do because the voice chat features on the Switch can only be accessed via a mobile app. This means you'll need to have all this stuff hooked up if you want to chat with the other players on your team in Splatoon 2 and other games, because Nintendo has refused to make online chat available through the game itself. The Switch is a great system, but its lack of voice chat and its clumsy online friend system are major shortcomings. Hopefully Nintendo will listen to their fans and fix things soon. Splatoon 2 arrives July 21st. You're going to have to wait a little longer to return to the dark world of Mordor. Monolith Productions has delayed their new action-packed fantasy game, Middle-earth: Shadow of War. It was slated to put a ring on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC this August, but will now arrive a few months later on October 10th. The developers say they need the extra time to polish the game and point out that this will end up making it a better experience. Shadow of War promises to expand the mechanics from Shadow of Mordor, offering a bigger game world and a much more in-depth version of the popular Nemesis system. More new details on Middle-earth: Shadow of War will come to light at E3. And if you're tired of slaying orcs, you might want to take on some giant green ogres instead. Take a look at the new action game Extinction, the new big project from Killer Instinct co-developer Iron Galaxy Studios. It takes place in a dark fantasy world where humankind has all but been wiped out by a race of giant man-eating ogres, with players taking the role of a giant-slaying warrior out to defend the few people who are left. The premise sounds very similar to the Japanese franchise Attack on Titan, so hopefully the gameplay mechanics and skill-based combat will help distinguish it. Extinction promises to have a deep story campaign, and there will also be online battles, although it's unclear if players will be able to take control of the massive ogres themselves, which would be pretty cool. More details on Extinction will be announced at E3. And if you think Extinction is a generic name for a game, get a load of this. Crysis developer Crytek has changed the name of their upcoming game Hunt: Heroes of the Gilded Age to Hunt: Showdown. It looks like the game itself has been retooled a bit as well. When it was first announced at E3 2014, it was a survival game where 4 players joined forces to fight off monsters, but the latest trailer has an emphasis on just 2 players. We'll have a better idea of how much the game has changed when it's shown off at this E3. Crytek needs a hit right now. The studio has been suffering in recent years and was recently forced to sell off several of its subsidiaries and lay off staff. Television audiences are going to explore the mean streets of Sin City like never before. A TV series based on Frank Miller's iconic graphic novel franchise is in development. Deadline reports that the new show is in the works at the Weinstein Company and Dimension Films, which made the big screen Sin City movies, although the site claims that the show will take place in its own universe and have different actors than the films. Sin City movie director Robert Rodriguez is apparently not involved either, with the series instead being produced by Len Wiseman, who directed the Underworld movies and co-created the Sleepy Hollow TV show. It's unclear if this means the Sin City show will have the same unique visual style as the movies, which were based heavily on the look of the Frank Miller graphic novels. The books have plenty of different stories and unique characters, many of which weren't used in the movies, so there's loads of material for an ongoing TV series. There's no word yet on when the show might premiere, but it's still in the early stages of development, so don't expect to see it for at least a year or two. Last year's biggest game, is finally about to catch some long-awaited new features. Pokémon Go developer Niantic Labs has revealed that the long-overdue PvP battles and legendary Pokémon characters will finally be coming to the game this summer. That's according to Niantic executive Mathieu de Faye, who tells the Brazilian magazine O Globo that the new features were originally supposed to land last year, but were delayed after the game became much more successful than originally expected, forcing the developers to spend more time on other features. Adding legendary Pokémon means that you'll finally be able to catch some of the most popular characters like Mewtwo, and PvP battles mean you'll be able to challenge other players right when you meet them and not just battle their characters after the fact at gyms. Niantic hopes that adding new features to the game will help keep players interested. It was a global phenomenon when it launched last summer, but saw a dwindling number of players after the initial craze wore off. Despite the drop, Pokémon Go still has millions of players worldwide and was such a success that the Pokémon Company has released several other mobile games since. That's it for today's rundown. To learn more about game design, visit VFS.edu. We'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new episode, and in the meantime, we've made lots of cool things for you to check out. If you dig it, hit subscribe, all right?